I think what will be helpful for listeners to understand is the different challenges that you face. Even though you've got crews, you're building things, you've got customers that have needs, it's a little bit different and unique what the challenges are that you face. I think something that Martin and I have talked about a lot on this show is the value of timing with your projects and getting things on a schedule and focusing on, days to build and trying to lower that timeline a lot. For you, it's like you have a deadline and you cannot miss that
Can't,
deadline.
yeah, can't miss it.
The impact of missing that deadline is a lost customer and paying back money and all
Yeah.
sorts of things, I'm sure. But talk about, I think the main challenges I want to hear about are the value of timing for you guys and how you make timing work, the value of the order of operations, what happens if you don't do things in the right order, and what that may look like for the customer, and then how you avoid kind of that scope creep as well. Um, because when things change on the job for you, it can really completely ruin the event. Um, I know that you've got hookups to power inside there, and if you don't do it at a certain time, and if they want to make a
Yeah.
change to whatever, it can make a huge difference. So talk about some of those challenges that you face with your customers and your projects that you work on.
No, great conversation. So, thinking about some of the contractors listening right now, if you're building a pool in somebody's yard or you're doing a major landscape contract and you need dry weather, right? I'm sure your customer doesn't like it if you have to push some of the work back a few days, but they can understand that and hopefully they show you grace and patience. When a trade show or a business event is taking place and they've bought out a hotel like the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas or the event is just happening, you've got to make it work. So um I'm sure every contractor in every sector has some variables. I, we've actually tracked this when we're building what we call an island exhibit. So, smaller structures we build are in a 10 by 10 space, 10 by 20, 10 by anything is called an inline exhibit. An island is 20 by 20, 30 by 40, 50 by 80 space. So by the way, the industry refers to my company as an exhibitor appointed contractor. So there is a general contractor who's responsible for moving in. They get a bare concrete
Mhm.
convention center that, let's say Las Vegas, 1 million square foot hall, and they have to return it that way 14 days from when they take possession of it. Right. So they pre-mark the floor and they set up the pipe. They move all the freight in and out. If I have 10 projects at that, I have to work within the boundaries of the general contractor, but I'm the exhibitor appointed contractor for those defined spaces. And I'm responsible for everything there, except there are some services like electrical, like the material handling of the freight, like any plumbing or water work that's exclusive to the general contractor. So I'd say one of the things that challenges us, Khalil, is um, we average between 7 and 15 variables on every project that we have little to no direct control over. I cannot control how quickly the union electricians at the Las Vegas Convention Center show up or how long they take to hang the 10 lights. My guys can hang them, wire it, and hide all the wiring in 90 minutes. They may take 2 days. So if we don't have everything staged to really give us every advantage for those sort of what we call the known unknowns, okay, then the cost overruns and the domino effect can start costing money everywhere else. I'll give you another example. We always ask a client, so a client we're building for, you've ordered, you have a hanging sign that flies above your exhibit space, and an exclusive service is the general contractor does the rigging. Their team comes over and has to fly the sign. You need to have put a special form and an order and get that paid for, hopefully prior to the show, so they have that scheduled. If you wait and don't send that order in until we show up on day one of a 4-day move in, you get in line, you find out you are number 137 in line. And so you've insisted that my team shows up on Friday morning, straight time. The move is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we go, okay. And let's just say this is at Mandalay Bay. And the way rigging is done there is through boom lifts. Well, those booms have to come into the space your structure is going to be built. So we really can't start building until the sign is flown, because if we build the structure first, the boom can't necessarily get in and position the sign the right way. So here's an example, just not filling out the form and getting that in early okay, so now we're going to have to cut the crew because I can't work today because we're going to wait all day for a boom lift. And now the crews, by the way, the crew gets paid under a union contract a 4-hour minimum. So you're paying for 16 man hours for guys to do nothing and they go home. Now they got to show up Saturday or Sunday if it takes 2 days. And now you're paying time and a half because that's what the contract rate is, right? So this is I'm giving you one little snapshot of some of the variables we have. So to your point, if we don't have ironclad planning or systems in place to make sure we're capturing that, I know you guys are big systems guys. And the phrase I've always used is systems manage people and managers manage systems. If you don't have a system, then people manage people. And you know what happens, Khalil? There's a long line that shows up at your door, at Martin's door, at my door. And ultimately I become the problem because the bottleneck shows up, here. And for those listeners, I used to think, I've got some young people who, I say the word system and they think it's a software. Well, we all use that for efficiency. A system is not software. A system is just an agreed upon method of how you do business with each other in your own company, right? So certainly we can agree on how the baton gets passed from design to estimating to project management to then back to the client for review to then back in for changes to be made and ultimately re-estimate it. And when it's finalized, the baton is then, we have an area that we call handover circle. So, there's a whole lot of activity during what we call the pursuit and solicitation phase of a project. And then once we get it done and we collect all the data so we can have a clean order that goes through handover circle into production, now it goes into production, but that's what we want, clean orders going through production.